Welcome to the Cruise Retreat Podcast. My name is Rita M. Perez, and I'm a triple certified travel advisor. But more importantly, I coordinate all the logistics to bring your online community offline through world travel. If you've been yearning to put together a group trip, but overwhelmed with all the details that come with planning, I and this podcast are here to help. Ready to transform lives on the open waters of the world? Let's get started. Hello everyone. Happy Wednesday or Tuesday, depending on when you are listening in. My name is Rita M. Perez. I am a triple certified travel advisor, and I come on live here every Wednesday onto the Instagram and showcase just a little bit of my world, the cruise retreat world. This week's topic of discussion is where exactly can you sail to? And if you're a cruiser, you know some of the famous places, and that would be like the Caribbean. I think is probably the first place most people think of when they think about cruising. And so one of my favorite itineraries when I think about cruising the Caribbean, specifically for a retreat, is I love a 4-night sailing that heads out. It's usually out of Tampa, and one night you're just sailing. Or one day you're sailing. The next day you're in a port like Cozumel, Mexico. The next day you're back sailing, and then you're back finally at home. So that accumulates what your 4 nights are. Your first night, your 2 sailing nights, and then your night in Mexico. And why I like this itinerary in particular, especially when we're talking about cruise retreats, is that you have 2 sea days. And specifically, again, talking about ocean cruising, sea days are like the magic days, because sea days are going to be the times where you are able to do or put on whatever sort of program it is that you're wanting to put on for the attendees that come on. So if it's a team retreat, obviously like team builders or different breakout sessions. Same if you're bringing your community. And that's why I say there's different levels. And so there's so much that can be personalized when we're talking about group cruise experiences. So on the community level, are you bringing your community on board because you want to teach them something, or they want to learn something additional from you? Or are you just getting away just to get away all together in community, finally able to meet each other in person? Maybe there's just a little bit of minimal teaching. So why I like the sea days is because they're perfect days. The other onboard cruise guests, they're going ahead doing their own thing. They've got their own activities going on. Whereas you and your community, or you and your team, are going to be in some sort of educational sessions or some sort of team building, icebreakering, whatever it seems that is. So, and I like the 2 days because you have maximum amount of time to go ahead and really invest and put that educational programming. Whereas I know some popular itineraries are kind of like you leave, you're in the Bahamas one day, in the Bahamas another day, and then you come back for the short cruises. That doesn't really give you enough time to like really teach anything. That's really best for like when you're just trying to get out together and you want everybody to come together rather than teaching. And that's also kind of why I like the longer cruises, like the 7-night cruises, because on the longer cruises, you're going to have more times at sea, specifically talking about the ocean cruises. If I have to say one of my favorite itineraries, specifically in the Caribbean, that is going to be the Southern Caribbean, because there's so much different things. Of course, it does take a little bit more effort, because usually the best Southern Caribbean itineraries sail from places like Puerto Rico, because you can get closer to those types of islands. But there are some itineraries that are available for a little bit longer, which means extra days at sea, which means you have more time and opportunity to sail, or opportunity to teach as well. So those are the types of things that I think about. And I think like the Caribbean and kind of getting to Florida, is one of the easiest routes to kind of like start off if you're starting off a program. And this is, again, we have to start thinking about what feel do you want? What's your branding? Because the itineraries that are going to be available to you are also going to vary on the cruise lines that you select to be sailing with. And why I say that is because usually it's the more mass market kind of entry level cruise lines that are going to be doing these short types of cruises. And that's also why I say, like, you might want to do something a little bit longer. There's just so many different factors that you have to consider. But the more premium lines, luxury lines, are really going to be out sailing for longer. So usually it's like a minimum 7 days. Right now, I've seen a lot of shorter itineraries. I'm not sure. I feel it's more because of our current world situation, so I'm not sure if they're going to keep it. I know Virgin Voyages does these short 4 or 5, like perfect, like chef's kiss sailings, which I think are so fabulous. Not only because you get a better experience, and I wouldn't even say that it's a better onboard experience. It's just a better experience all around for your attendees. You get their ships are brand new. So you get, new lounge areas that you can utilize for your different programming on board. And having the 4 or 5 nights, usually there's 1 or 2 days at sea, so that if you wanted to put on programming, you can. So, and they're an adults only cruise line, which is another reason why I think it's super beneficial to partner up with someone like Virgin Voyages, because you have that option for you. And especially, like, I know some people can turn in like, oh, we're going to make it a family vacation. But this way kind of like really make sure that your attendees focus on themselves and focus on the transformation that they are about to have. So, those are a couple of the Caribbean. Now, cruising happens all around the world. And again, that's why I say we need to figure out what your goal is before we can even like dive in deep to the like plethora of other amazing destinations. And when I say other amazing destinations, you know, Antarctica has had a big focal point on, for me personally, but also in the media recently. I don't really specialize in romance travel, but they did the first official weddings recently in Antarctica on some expedition sailings, which I think are pretty cool. I haven't really talked too much about expedition sailings here. So just a brief overview of what they are. It is a smaller ship experience, and it really is, if you want a full immersive, if you are all about getting to know like the geography of an area and the wildlife of an area, expedition cruising is going to be perfect. Now, I wouldn't recommend expedition cruising if you also want to have some sort of educational component, because there's going to be already so much education about the local region that you're visiting, as well as the flora and the fauna. And Antarctica is definitely one that is known for expedition cruising, because on expedition cruising, so it's already small ship cruising, but like one of the perks about small ship or these types of expedition cruises is that they usually have things called zodiacs. So those are even smaller little boats that you'll find on these ships that take you really into the heart of things. So do you want to be sailing right up close to the different glaciers that are there? The zodiacs, when I think of Galapagos Islands, the Galapagos Islands have so many different islands there, but it is hard because, again, of all the natural flora, fauna, and also the natural coral reefs. Expedition cruises don't really like to disturb too much. They are very eco-friendly. So instead of docking right there at the different islands, specifically in the Galapagos, you are anchored out in the ocean, and these smaller these smaller zodiacs bring you from the ship directly to the shoreline. It is another, this is a huge bucket list experience for me. And that's why I say, if you are just wanting to get to know your community on a personal level, expedition cruising is huge because not only are you doing the whole exploration all together, but you can all the ideas are flowing with me. We can go ahead and plan like a special cocktail hour or a mixer hour, or maybe every like hour prior to dinner, your community all gets together and they share their different stories. Or maybe you just get together at dinner and you share the different stories of what happened. I want to open that to you also, is that you don't necessarily have to be teaching anything while you do your little retreat. This can just be totally like getting away, and rejuvenating, recharging, so that when you're back to your program in the office or at your home office, everybody is ready to go. And that's why I like to say too, that sometimes maybe if this is not a complement to your current program, maybe this is a kickoff event to a current program that you have, or maybe this is a completion there. How freaking awesome would it be to have like the completion of your coaching program or a challenge or whatnot be a cruise to one of these amazing exotic destinations worldwide. Other favorite places that I think could be good for a little bit of education are Alaska. I was so enchanted and loved Alaska. I think there's not a lot of cities in Alaska, so that's why I say like minimal time doing education, but I think that's another really great kickoff or send-off type of celebration location. I also think there are cruises that actually sail the Northeast Atlantic, so like out of Boston, Maine, and they even go a little bit to some of Canada, like Prince Edward Island. And so those are really like close to home, but if we're thinking far off, of course, the first thing that I'm going to think about is river cruising. And my first experience actually attending a retreat on a river cruise was amazing. So we went on the Rhine River, started in Amsterdam, sailed our way through Germany, France, and ended up down in Switzerland. And I thought that itinerary was really great. Again, not like full immersive programming for you as the retreat runner, but I think it's really great for like small bite-sized transformations, and even more important for engaging and getting to know your people. The last itinerary that I sailed on, which was the south of France, and here's where I kind of switched my gears a little bit, because in the south of France, it was a very busy itinerary, and I feel this is the same with the Danube River. And the Danube River, the upper Danube that I sailed, started in Hungary. We went up to Austria, Germany, we went up through Austria, sailed and ended up in Germany. But there is so much to do that I don't think they're really great too much for so much hands-on education or closed-off educational programs. Those, I would say, are specifically even like really great just like for community building, but even better for a niche that I really love, which is wine business owners. And why I love that is because in the south of France, you have the Beaujolais area, which is a huge, like very popular and very, I wanted to say sophisticated. I'm not sure if that's an accurate word or not in the wine world, but I know that there are many people who love Beaujolais and love the different wines that come from that south of France region. So I think that they would be very enchanted with that. Same thing on the Danube through Austria. There's I'm going to fudge up this name. I think it's the Gruner Veltliner. It's a white wine. And a lot of people love that wine too. So, and that's like one of the beauties of sailing through Europe, is that you have the added, like you have the different culture, you have the different food and wine culinary experiences, but you're able to experience this all together instead of just solo, or instead of just like one or a few other people. So I feel like I've inundated you again with so much information, but let me know, what did you think of hearing kind of like some of my insights on what cruises might be best for you, putting on a program together, or screw the program, we're just going to get out and hang out all together. Let me know if you are interested in some consulting. I have that open for you. Just send me a message and I'll send you the link to set that up. All right, have a great week and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the Cruise Retreat podcast. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating so more team and community leaders like yourself can get access to these episodes. See you next week.